Well, hello there and welcome to my weekly report. My name is Karen from KarenTurpin.com. It is the 24th of January 2022 and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the outcome of your choices. Got loads of notes here. Before I kind of really get into it, I actually feel really excited today because from my viewpoint anyway, there is many great changes happening in the world. Finally. Now, I know that it's not rosy for everyone everywhere yet. I don't know that it ever will be, to be honest with you, because we don't all think and feel in the same way. We don't react and respond to things in the same way. We don't believe the same things. And, you know, my goodness, if we did, we would be looking at a mind-controlled society, wouldn't we? A society in which we were all programmed to think and feel and believe the same things. And nobody in their right mind would want that, would they, for human consciousness? Or would they? Well, I'm being provocative, of course, but I'll leave that there with you for you to think on that one if you'd like to. So anyway, moving on. As I said, I feel really excited to see some of the changes that are happening in the world. So when we look at timelines, we know that the light has already won, but there's a kind of time lag, really, before the light fully lands here, even though we can see it here, but we're looking at dimensions and timelines and all of that as well. So you can see it, you can feel it, you can believe it, align to it, you can live in 5D now. Or maybe you're making your way there and you can kind of see the potential of it, but you can't quite believe it yet and it doesn't feel that way to you. Or maybe you're not there yet, but you're waking up. You're seeing that you would like that, but you're still really in the doom and gloom of what's happening all around you. So there are levels to this, of course, because people don't wake up instantly overnight. They may on some levels, let's just say that. It's possible to have an awakening on a spiritual level and really get and understand everything, but it always has to filter down through your other layers, your emotional, mental, the psychological, and the physical part of that. And in fact, what we see a lot of is a kind of spiritual bypassing where someone appears to be awake and conscious. They say all the right things, you know, they've got a nice spiritual practice, all of this stuff, and yet the choices that they make really are still leading them down a dark pathway. So they're not making choices in their physical day-to-day life that align with someone of a higher consciousness. That's a form of a spiritual bypassing happening there. I'm seeing that a lot, actually. So as I said, people don't wake up overnight. There are many levels to this awakening. And so you might feel yourself in all of those levels of what I've just said. You might be feeling fully aligned with 5D and really feeling like you've got there. You might be wanting to believe it, but not quite because you're not seeing it around you in the physical yet. You might be just waking up in the morning and thinking, oh my God, I so want this to be over, but actually your whole vibration could be pretty low because you're in the doom and gloom. So there's all these different levels of awakening. And, you know, there are some people that are still fast asleep and probably haven't got much to say to them because, you know, they're fast asleep, they're in 3D or whatever, and they don't want to hear this. They don't want to look at any other way. And I respect that choice. They can stay where they are. I've kind of got nothing for that because 3D is not for me. So the light has won already. We know that. There was a thing called Project Looking Glass. You can look that up. We know the light has won, but the dark doesn't want to give up its hold, of course. If it can convince us that it's still in power, then we'll all conform a little bit longer. And it actually gets to live off of our fear energy for a little bit longer. Now, we know that these people, these controllers, whatever, are so disconnected from God, from source, they no longer can tap into that to get that flow of energy. They're like a closed circuit, really, within themselves. And the only energy, life force that they get is through our fear, our trauma, our distress. It's an energy that they feed off of, which is why the whole adrenochrome thing, right? So my advice is, don't feed the dark with any fear. Realign yourself even more so to the light, so that you're not giving off that energy of fear. You know, when you look at anything that they've put on the news, it's all fear-based. You watch the news, you feel your heart rate go, heart palpitations, whatever, a sick, anxious feeling. The moment you feel any of that, you're giving that off from your energy field, and it's being sucked up from somewhere, kind of loosh, you know, they loosh off of that stuff. So on the opposite side of the globes, we've got something happening in the UK, we've got something happening in New Zealand. So in New Zealand, the Dark Mother down there that controls the narrative, the people, she's announced that they've gone to the red traffic light, which basically puts more and more restrictions on the population down there. In the UK, we've got Bouncy Boris, I call him, because he bounces all over the place from one idea to the next to the next. Anyway, that's just my personal joke. But in the UK, we have Boris, and he's lifted restrictions. I heard that they're doing that in Ireland as well. So they're giving people more freedom than they've had for a long time. And that's great, right? Everyone's breathing, finally, a breath of fresh air. But there's distrust there. Distrust is not a great vibration for us to be holding. But it's sad because we've been lied to so many times that we have this distrust. They've actually trained us to not trust them, though there are always some people that trust everything that they say and they will defend them. Of course, that's the Stockholm syndrome, right? On a mass level. So they've trained us for the last 2 years to distrust them, because they've showed us repeatedly that they can't be trusted. They've lied to us repeatedly. And basically, we've been abused on every level. This is the most extreme case of global narcissism, you know, a narcissistic relationship between you or the people and the government. It's created deep pain and trauma, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, to the point of lifelong injuries and death for some people because of their juice mandates. And spiritually, it's harmed us because, like it or not, we are in the middle of a spiritual battle. This is light against dark. And we see that is happening within ourselves as we question what our beliefs are. It's happening on the micro level as well. Now, of course, our soul knew that we were coming to the planet at this time. You know, before we incarnated here, our souls would have known we're going to go through a spiritual battle. There must be something within you that decided it would participate in this. If you're listening to me, I'm presuming that you've chosen the side of light, okay? Because if you were on the other side, you wouldn't be listening to me. But if you've chosen the side of light, then you've either had lifetimes where you have been in situations where you've had the opportunity to build some spiritual backbone within you, right? And you've come through saying, yeah, you know, it's going to be rough. I'm going to stand on the side of light, and I've got my spiritual backbone intact. I've got my practices, my spiritual beliefs. You know, I'm completely aligned to God and freedom for humanity, etc. All of that stuff. That is within you somewhere. If you're claiming that you're on the side of light, it doesn't give you a free pass, though. You still have to work at this to move through it, because this is global, a mass agenda, and it's big and it's strong, and it may be stronger than you ever expected it to be. but you have something within you that can stand for truth, but it's your job to fuel that, to grow that, to build that, not to cave in, you know, and give in at the last minute. So going back to Bouncy Boris, it's possible that he's been reined in because the light has already won. He's on the other side. It's possible he's been reined in and they said, right, okay, you have to say now that restrictions are released, etc. They've probably got something on him and he's up for charges or something or other. It's always things like that. Now, it's possible as well that the sign of him, you know, capitulating to the light, as it were, that could be a signal for the Dark Mother in New Zealand to ramp up her efforts, because they're trying to get the quotient of dark energy in control. They don't want the light. So everybody in the UK has breathed a sigh of relief. Our vibration is lifted because, oh my God, we're free. And so then here's the balance, the opposite effect happening the other side of the globe. So that's kind of interesting there. But what do we really know, right? Because our political leaders, they've all been trained, you know, in the whole that global leaders thing. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. But anyway, they've been trained by Klaus Schwab in the Great Reset, which is their dark agenda, the Great Reset. They're all in cahoots. Billy Boy Gates is part of that. Angela Merkel was part of that. All of those, what really are evil people, right? They're all in that together. We're not. We're on a whole different team. So please stop saying we're all in this together. They're in it together. Anyway, that's a whole dark agenda, which you can look up because there's lots of information out there. What I want to stress again is that the light is winning. The light has actually already won. And we're seeing movement to show us that. So we'll look at Kazakhstan and Ukraine. And when you look at what's going on there, you might go, oh my God, it's so disastrous. That is a move for the light. Mainstream media won't say that. They will, again, try to put a dark agenda like war is coming, everybody gets scared, get into fear, because as I've said, that's the energy that they like. I view the Kazakhstan and the Ukraine war, Russia, all of that stuff, I see that as a shift of power, a shift of energy. And I do believe it's for the light, on the light side. So we can apply our energy and consciousness to the dark or to the light, to the positive or to the negative. It's our choice in everything. And our choice leads us down a particular pathway, the dark one, the light one, whichever way. And what we experience down that pathway is kind of the cause and effect of our choice to head down that path. Now, we can choose something, try to brush it off and think it's all going to be okay. But sometimes there's not a good outcome down that pathway. The problem is there's so much information. It's not a problem, it's a good thing. There's so much information out there. But we can no longer say, well, I didn't know that, or I was just following orders, or but I had to do it. You know, because the information is out there. We can't say that anymore. So basically, if you're an adult, take responsibility for what you've chosen to participate in. If you're aligning to the light, if you're aligning to the dark, then just please admit to yourself, you know what? I say that I'm doing this, but I'm actually behaving like this, whatever way that is, okay? Just take responsibility, because you are now kind of on a train, going on a track in a particular direction. As I've said before, this is one of my favorite metaphors. If you're on a fast train, it ain't stopping at the stations for you to hop off because you've changed your mind, like some of the other trains do. Everything is speeding up now. The decisions you make now, you get on a fast train, there's no getting off it till you're the other side and you get off. the final destination. In the old days, like pre 2 years ago, well, actually, we're looking back a couple of 100 years really, but we were on a slow train and you could hop off and change your mind and kind of get away with certain things, not everything. Literally, if you're leaping off the top of the Empire State Building without a parachute, you ain't getting out of that one till you land at the bottom, right? As a metaphor. But anyway, whatever choices that you are making, it's your responsibility. You're not getting away with them now. And I need to say that you are also responsible, fully responsible for what happens to your children. You are to blame for the outcome of what they may experience as a direct result of the decision that you make for them, including your decision to properly research what's really going on or not. Because your child can't be responsible for that decision. It's terrible that they're reducing the age at which the child makes a choice that is literally life-changing for them. You are the adult. You have to step up and say, no, my child is not equipped to make these kind of life-changing decisions. You're the adult, step up. We're not in the dark ages anymore. The information is out there. It's time for you to open your mind and make a decision. Will I research this fully? Not just one side of it, not just the side that I want to validate what I believe. Because on a little bit more of a spiritual note now, imagine that you're standing at the crossroads. And in fact, we are. So on the right is the light, is the positive. On the left is the dark, is the negative. If you want light, if you want sovereignty, freedom, health, abundance in this world, you need to be moving towards the right, to the light, to the positive. It's very simple. You won't get that if you go down the dark path. If you want to be in the light, make choices that align yourself and your children to the light. Don't make choices that lead you down the dark agenda, because we know it's a dark agenda. This is the battle, spiritual battle. Don't align to what you know will lead you down a dark path that you may not be able to come back from, because you won't have enough light down there to find your way back, perhaps. So don't play that game unless you are consciously choosing to go out down that pathway. Remember that movie, The Butterfly Effect? Every time he tried to change his decision, another whole different outcome would come. If you haven't seen that movie for a while, I actually haven't, to be honest, but it's a great movie that shows the cause and effect, what happens with the decisions and the choices that you make. So watch that movie and you will begin to see how everything that you're choosing right now really, really makes a difference further on down the path. We have to be very awake and very conscious. So if you want the light, a positive outcome, don't turn your back on it and focus on everything that's dark. Where you place your attention, you will be drawn there. It's a very magnetic kind of energy. So you can think of the law of attraction as well here. So if you want health, freedom, sovereignty, abundance, if you're saying that you want all of that, but everything that you're doing, aligning to, complying with, speaking about, feeling is the opposite, then where you're placing all of that energy, you're being magnetically drawn there. You can't say, oh yes, I want all of these beautiful things, and then turn your back on that and focus everything towards into the dark, because you're putting your energy there. That it's a magnetic attraction, so that what you think and feel, you attract more of, you get more coming to you. You've also got then the reticular activating system is a part in your brain that is kind of hardwired to search for evidence of what it believes. So if you say, I want the light, but you're looking at the dark and all the things and going into it, you will see more and more and more of the dark things that kind of hold up that belief that things are very dark and it's doom and gloom. But by comparison, you could say, you know, I want the light. I'm going to choose to see all the good things that are happening in the world, which is what I do. Choose to see the good, the positive. I'm choosing to see where things are changing, because we need a change. This is the great awakening. We have to open up our eyes. We have to awaken and see what's really been going on here. So things can't stay the same. We don't want them to stay the same. We have to awaken, open our eyes, and make the changes in the things that have contributed towards the perilous position that we're in right now, and potentially the destruction of the human genome, the DNA, and human consciousness. So some of the exciting things that I've spotted that really lifted my spirits. Guantanamo Bay is having a huge extension built. They're building military courtrooms, places to house their prisoners. Who's there? Who are they housing? Who is undergoing military trials? Thought, isn't it? And what about the White House? Why is that having all these big walls put around it? And people are reporting that nobody's going in and out, and the lights are off and it's all dark. What's happening there? The White House. What about Buckingham Palace? I keep hearing reports from people that not much going on in there. It's all sealed up. Why? What's going on with that? Okay, I haven't got all the answers. I'm just saying, why? Open your eyes, research, have a look. And where are all these celebrity people? They seem to have disappeared, a lot of them. There's a lot of people saying that they're clones as well. There are certain people who were always on our TV screens, whether we wanted them there or not. Where are they? They've suddenly disappeared. There's so much out there staring us in the face if we have the eyes to see it, excuse me. We just have to open our eyes and look and question. Oh, well, that's odd. Oh, did you just hear what they said? It's like a glitch in the Matrix. If you saw the first Matrix movie, The Black Cat, there's a glitch. Something's going on. And I tell you, when you look at those, well, for me personally, I'm very optimistic because something is changing. It's really exciting. Now, of course, they're not going to come out on mainstream media and tell us everything because they're in it together. It's against us, remember, they're in it. But if you listen carefully, you'll pick up hints. I was actually, I just saw a snippet of Trump's address that he gave in Arizona recently, last week, I think. And along the bottom, they're mentioning Nasara Jassara. That's like a breadcrumb. It's like, wow, it's coming out a little bit more. And these are what we need to focus on, because these are the positive changes. So when we see, and there's a lot of them, we also know then that the cracks are appearing in the story that the other guys have created, the one that they're all in together. We can see the cracks appearing. I saw an interview with Biden the other day. It's purported to have taken place in the White House, and yet you could see there was a screen behind him and all the studio lighting up there, like you have in studios. Now, I don't know what that means, but I look at it and it's interesting to me. And those are what I mean by some of the little cracks that we can see appearing in the narrative. So look out for those. I feel very optimistic also about many of the ministers in the European parliaments coming out against other political leaders in Europe. In fact, somebody even called Macron a murderer the other day because of his juice mandates against people. So this is all coming to light, and we have to focus on those things and say, you know what? Change is happening. This is positive. Change is happening. This is evidence of a shift occurring. And now we know the light has already won. As I said to you, look up Project Looking Glass. If you don't know what that is, have a look at that. The light can't be stopped. We are in the Great Awakening. How long we draw out this painful situation that we're in is kind of up to us. And for how long do we comply with it? Because that just drags it out. How long before we stand up? How long before people are willing to fully step into 5D, which means facing themselves, looking at the emotional wounds and the trauma and the pain that they still refuse to clear, because that holds them heavy and it really holds them down into 3D, stuck in that old timeline. This is the time to step up, do your self-healing work, clear your limiting beliefs, really step into your power, because it's a very, very exciting time. I'm really, really optimistic about this. And, you know, it's true that we have a little bit more to go through, a lot of witnessing of people that are going to be suffering from health conditions because of their choice that they made. But there's really nothing that we can do about that now. They've made their choices. We have to make ours. And if we're really choosing to align to the light, then we need to get on with our own spiritual work so that we can, I think I've got to the end, so that we can fully step into our power, really, really activate our spirit that's within us. That's our abundance right there. It's very liberating. It's very freeing. The whole vibration lifts. And imagine if all of us could feel that upliftment, the optimism, having let go of our past traumas, you know, all the crap that we experienced in our childhood and even in other lifetimes, that's coming up for people as well. So if we could let go of all that heaviness and pain, it's a little bit like, you know, when you try to hold an inflatable ball underneath the water, it's bound to pop up to the top because that's where it wants to be. And I want to be up at the top. I don't want to be submerged under the water and drowning. So, you know, I do a lot of personal development on myself. I have done for years. I encourage you, if you know you've got stuff going on in there, icky feeling stuff, problems with self-worth, or constantly sabotaging yourself and holding yourself back and feeling less than, now is a perfect time to really get on and do that healing work, because everything is around you energetically to support you in this great awakening if you choose to. Remember, I talked about the fast train. Imagine now that in this period of great awakening, the energy is fully here to help you heal and expand and grow really, really quickly. So would you like to get on the fast spiritual train so that you can get this growth period done and you can really finally step in to who you truly are, what you're here to do, really get in touch with those unique gifts and talents that you have, take them out into the world so that you can be of service, because that's how you bring in your abundance. You've heard me say this a million times. I will always come back to this message. You are the source of your abundance, and what you give out is what you receive. So let's get you fully aligned, clear, heal all the trauma crap so that you can raise your vibration and be the best version of yourself. Because I know, if you're listening to me, that's what you came here to be, not all of that dark, icky shit, right? So let's get you in the best possible vibration so that you can be your magnificent self. Getting a little bit emotional here. Let's get you fully aligned, high vibration, so that you can be your magnificent self. Well, I hope that's inspired you a little bit today. Reach out if you're feeling stuck or if you're feeling overwhelmed. I'd love to help you with that. But otherwise, just go out and start looking around you. See so much beauty and positive stuff. Focus on that and let all of that stuff do its thing over there while you really are part of ushering in this new high level of consciousness that's coming through in this period of great awakening, which cannot be stopped, and that I hope you are a part of with me. Cool. Reach out if you need to. I always read my DMs. You'll find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. Karen Turpin, Abundance Coach, KarenTurpin.com. Talk to you again soon. Bye for now.